This video is about the West Rim Trail hike in Zion, which is a great alternative to the Angel's Landing hike. We hiked Angel's Landing in 2016 and wanted to do it again on our recent RV trip. We put in for the lottery to get the permits but didn't get them. We were visiting friends who are locals and they suggested we do the West Rim Trail hike since it's mostly the same hike anyway and does not require a permit. So that is what we did. It was a great hike with spectacular views. We started early to make sure we got a parking spot because it fills up fast and to get on the first shuttle. While we were waiting for the shuttle, we saw some deer wandering through the area. We took the shuttle to the grotto stop. From there you cross the street and then cross the bridge that goes over the North Fork of the Virgin River. After the bridge, go right and follow the West Rim Trail.
There are two reasons why you would be considering the West Rim Trail hike over Angel's Landing. One is that you tried to get the permit but didn't get it, or you are making a plan B in the event you put in for the permit and don't get it. The other reason you might be considering this hike is you are uncomfortable with the sketchy parts of Angel's Landing. There are parts of the Angel's Landing portion of the hike that can be daunting for those who have a fear of heights and/or are not sure-footed. There are people who will get to those parts and either turn back or in some cases crawl through them. So that is a real factor for people to consider.
This is the wiggle, right?
No.
No?
Have to go through the refrigerator first.
Oh.
At the other end of the refrigerator.
Oh, where
That's
the...
when the 23.
The West Rim Trail hike is the same hike as Angel's Landing until you reach the summit of Scouts Lookout. From there, Angel's Landing goes one way for half a mile and the West Rim Trail goes the other way.
After you hike along the river for a bit, you start into some switchbacks that lead into Refrigerator Canyon, and there are some amazing views along the way.
After crossing the bridge, you start to enter into Refrigerator Canyon.
The benefit to doing the West Rim Trail over Angel's Landing is there is no permit required and there are no sketchy parts. Also, there are more viewpoints than Angel's Landing. Angel's Landing is probably the best viewpoint in the park because it's right down the center of the canyon. The viewpoints on the West Rim Trail are still very good, they just don't show as much of the middle of the canyon. We also did the Mini Pools hike in Zion the day before this hike. We included that hike at the end of this video, so if you're interested in that, watch till the end. This area in Refrigerator Canyon is a quiet zone for the Mexican spotted owl. They are an endangered species and are sensitive to loud noises. After going through Refrigerator Canyon, you come to some switchbacks known as Walter's Wiggles. There are 21 switchbacks here and it is steep, but it is paved and there's some great views of the canyon along the way. We want to give a special shout out and thank you to our local friend Pat, who always takes us on hikes off the beaten path and was our personal tour guide for this hike. We always enjoy seeing him and his wife when we come to Zion. Thanks, Pat! As we said, we started early when the temperatures were cooler and there were less people. We also brought a lot of water. When we were on our way down, we encountered people coming up who did not look like they had very much water, and it was getting warmer. We wondered how many of them would actually make it to the top. The trail is exposed at least half of the way, so water is important.
At the top of Walter's Wiggles, you reach Scouts Lookout at an elevation gain of 1,100 feet from the start of the hike.
The ranger's checking permits. I'll be damned.
Oh, there they are.
Why don't you ask him? How does that work? Right? No?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, if I'm going to borrow somebody's permit, I don't.
When we got to the top of Scouts Lookout, I talked to the ranger checking the passes for Angel's Landing. I asked if I was allowed to go up on someone else's pass if they had a no-show in their group. This is how it went. I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you piggyback onto somebody, like,
ma'am.
no, I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm just saying you can't do that, right?
Right.
So if a person has a permit and you have it for 3 people, I didn't write down the names of the other 2 people.
Right.
So do they still have to show their ID, or how does that work?
No, it's an honor system.
Okay, that's what I want. I'm not doing it. I'm just
Okay.
just questioning and wondering
Okay.
how it works.
No problem asking.
Is today, how many people do they allow up a day?
Over 800.
Over 800. Okay.
And that's why we don't want people joining, because we already got a crowd.
Well, you can only do that if somebody didn't show up
Yes.
and you
piggyback
This
onto
system's
that.
set up for no shows.
Oh,
And if you have everybody
Gotcha.
joining,
then that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
I didn't tell him that I got there at 6:30 and asked everybody waiting for the shuttle if they had a no-show for their Angels Landing permit. Oops! We did get the lottery passes for Angels Landing, so we're gonna do West Rim. It's supposed to have a good view. After spending some time on Scouts Lookout, we headed back and started on the West Rim Trail. There are several viewpoints along the way depending on how far you want to go, and it does include gradual incline. We went 1.6 miles and turned back after reaching the highest viewpoint. The views along the way are spectacular and well worth the effort to get up there. I call Zion Nature's Disneyland. We have been to all 5 of Utah's national parks, which are called the Mighty 5. They all have something unique, but Zion is our favorite.
The total miles for the hike for us was 7.7 miles and an elevation gain of almost 1,800 feet. Some of the viewpoints along the trail are not right on the trail, so look for them as you go up. Look for a path off the trail or where others might be.
While we were at one of the viewpoints, we saw condors flying around above Walter's Wiggles and one in a tree. And these are the views that make the hike worth it. As we were headed back down, you can see the number of people was increasing. That is one of the advantages to starting earlier, is to get your pictures without so many people. The day before we did the West Rim Trail hike, our local friend Pat took us on the Many Pools hike. This hike includes a small slot canyon and an alcove at the end, as well as the pools. The Many Pools hike is 2.3 miles out and back with an elevation gain of 544 feet.
We started the hike from further up the road that took us over a large rock dome that had some great views. The rock dome was very steep and is not recommended for the faint of heart or if you have a fear of heights. Also, it is not recommended if you're not comfortable with hiking off the beaten path because there is no trail to follow. If you want to do this variation, park further up the road and look for the large dome rock on the north side of the road.
Thanks for taking the time to watch our video. If you have any questions, leave us a comment and we will answer.